You all probably know the story. You leave a hobby, sometimes because you don't have the money to finance it, sometimes because you grow out of it, or sometimes because your bullshit friend always belittles you of how bad you are, even though you believe to 100% that he is cheating, and also use your resources to actually get this far where he is right now. Anyways, you're interested to see what has happened to your old hobby. You want to visit it once again for old time's sake. After all, what is the worst that could happen? You don't need to spend money, you got everything you need, and your old friend is long gone, so why not? But when you enter the old hobby, you realize it has completely changed and you can't keep up. You're completely out of touch. You can't compete with the newest version anymore. So the only thing you can do is to buy the newest resources and spend a lot of time and money to learn the new rules of the game that you once loved. But even then, you couldn't compete because all your resources were outdated and couldn't keep up with the resources that could do 10 times more than what you could back in the days. What you have experienced is called power creep, and I experienced it with a card game called Yu-Gi-Oh! And today I want to talk about what exactly power creep is. But before I will do that, be sure to subscribe, because none of you really have, and that would really help me out to become motivated and make more of these kinds of videos. So make sure the subscribe button is gray, and let's continue with the video. And by that I mean, let's roll the intro. Power creep describes the situation in which updates to a game introduce more powerful units or abilities, so that already established items can become underpowered or become completely useless. You can see it as a level up system like in RPG games. You grow powerfuler every time you get a level up. You could even gain a new skill when you level up. In Yu-Gi-Oh! The level up system is a bit different, because to get new cards, aka a power up, you need to buy new cards, and normally a pack of cards cost $4.99 and you only get 12 of the 40 cards you need to build a deck. And many of these cards are completely unfit for your deck, or you missed the card that you need for your deck and this card isn't in this pack. So you need to buy all the packs, which doesn't cost $4.99 but $20, or in worst case scenario even more than $20. Even though I explained all this, it is important to understand that power creep itself isn't bad. It is always a great feeling when you grow powerfuler. In RPG you begin at level 1, so you're weak and you can't even beat a goblin, so you start to kill some slimes for simple EXP. It is tedious work, but you can see that you are slowly growing a level, and you grow from level 1 to level 3 and get a stronger attack stat and even a new magic skill. With that you are ready to face the goblin and finally beat him. Later on you face an even bigger threat like a dragon, and because you were stronger than before, you don't need to train by killing slimes, you train by killing goblins, and you realize that you became indeed stronger, and that makes you feel good. The same can be seen in real life. You begin as a complete loser, someone who got noodles for legs, but as you start to jog, you become fitter, and that makes you feel good, because you know you achieved something. In Yu-Gi-Oh! It is the same. Yu-Gi-Oh! Starts with the first booster pack, Blue Eyes White Dragon, which got normal monster and trashy magic and trap cats. Most monsters were so weak that they needed a sacrifice to achieve an attack stat of 1600. Don't get me wrong, I played once an old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Game with a deck from Yugi, Joey and Kaiba, and I must say it was a lot of fun, like really fun. I needed to rely on Lady Luck and on good strategy, but I would be a liar if I would say that I didn't miss summoning a monster with 2800 attack points in my first turn. So the question is, when does become power creep a problem? Power creep becomes a problem if you become stronger way too fast, so fast that every power up to that point becomes completely useless, and the player that doesn't got that update are completely underleveled. You may be asking, how can that be a problem when I once said that growing powerful is a good thing? Well, let me explain. The history of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Power creep starts with how Yu-Gi-Oh! Was played before the power creep. Yu-Gi-Oh! Started by summoning monster with 1200 attack points or even lower, which have no effect. Then you sacrifice this monster to get an even powerful monster with 2500 attack points, who got maybe a cool effect, but mostly doesn't, while your opponent need to counter with trap cards, like Trap Pole, to surprise your opponent and make him think twice if he wants to attack. Because when your monster is once in the graveyard, you have a hard time getting it back. But when this didn't work, he could always use magic cards to make his monster even powerfuler by increasing his attack by 300 or so. But when he didn't have these cards, he needed to delay his defeat by putting cards in defense modes and hoping that the card he is seeking comes and change the game forever. And when you're super lucky, you can fuse two specific monsters to get an even powerfuler card. This sounds slow, but we are once relying on strategy and luck. Two things that today isn't really the case. Because today every weak monster has at least 2000 attack points, got OP effects, are unaffected by other monster or card effect, and can summon other weaker monster who can also summon weaker monster, who then summon a huge boss monster with 5000 attack points and an effect that makes it unbeatable. And all of that is in the first turn, while you as the opponent can only watch and cry because you can't counter. But I'm not done yet, because there is more. After your opponent summoned 50 monsters in one turn, most of these monsters are in the graveyard, but with the help of monster effects they all come back on the field. And if you think you got a counter for special summoning, you don't, because the opponent either got magic or trap cards that makes trap or magic card useless, or their monster do that job for them. Speaking of trap cards are not often used, mostly because monster and magic cards nowadays are the newer and improved trap cards, because they can activate more than once and can be activated from the hand in the first turn from where they were drawn. As you can see, it isn't about being strategic. It is about having the first turn advantage and having for everything a counter when your counters are limited and are completely ignored when you're not beginning first. You are maybe asking, can you not try to adapt to this game? And the answer is, sure, you can try. I mean, I did, by using Fremont's method of adapting game studies. The first part of this method is called sedimentation, where you are studying how the game began and how it is now, which is in Yu-Gi-Oh's case the history of Yu-Gi-Oh's power creep. After that comes Exhibition, where you pick up old series or resources to deploy and use them in a new game. So to answer this question, I asked myself, what counters did I have in the past and what kind of counters are currently needed to beat this game? The answer was monster summoning, stopping a monster effect, stopping an attack from your opponents, and how to destroy magic and trap cards from your opponents, especially Mystic Mine. So I got all these cards like Mirror Force, Magical Cylinder or Mystical Space Typhoon, and look how do they fare off in a new Yu-Gi-Oh game plan. To answer the question, everyone forgot Mirror Force and Magical Cylinder. They are a huge help. Because I wanted to use hero cards again, I tried to use older hero cards, but all of the older hero cards were outdated and difficult to summon. So I looked at the newest hero cards and oh boy, there are a lot of new hero cards. And all of them are simpler to summon and also stronger than the older cards. And then finally comes adaptation. And that where all the series are used for a new game plan or even new game. In my adaptation, I used all the counters I could find by building my hero deck so that I could summon every turn 1 or 2 fusion monster with great monster effect and great attack points. I even used the newest hero monsters to compensate with the lack of high hitters. And I must say, after I was done, I was quite happy. I thought no one could beat me. You're maybe asking yourself, was I right? Well, sort of. I found guys who were sick and tired of all the players who would summon one boss monster over and over again, so they built normal decks like Dark Magician, Blue Eyes deck, or even other hero decks. And because they couldn't summon 10 or 20 monster in one turn or 5 boss monster who are immune to everything, I could actually starting to analyze the field of me and my opponent. I could think about what he might have in his hand and try to counter it or try to bluff. And when I lost, it was okay. I know what I can do better to beat him next time and make a new strategy. Those were fun opponents because by playing with them I remembered what made Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategy, luck and fun. But then there were those players who summoned Red Eyes, Dark Dragon, Cyber whatever dragon, and then the Monarch, Kaiju and Mystic Mind player. I don't know whatever these kinds of players are called. All those players use combos to get the boss monster in the first turn and then beat you in the second. Normally, such gamers only play by themselves. They only draw a card summoning the monster and that was it. Because now your turn comes and he got every card to make sure his monster isn't destroyed by a Rageki or some other shit. And the worst part is that you never know how you can stop such a combo when you don't even know the cards he is using, because they are always disappearing in the graveyard and activate their effect once again. And before you can read the effect, another activates and so on and so on. How the hell can you stop something that you don't understand? There's no strategy, no luck, no fun for both parties. Just a winner and a clear loser. So I'm asking you, would you like to be that kind of player who only plays by themselves and always wins without having to struggle, always take away or time with all these bullshit cards? Probably not. So now is the question, how do we stop this kind of power creep? Simply add limitation for every effect or summoning. What do I mean by that? Well, let me explain by taking example from this Kuaro article. Limited special summoning to 5 times a turn would be a good start, but I'm not done yet. You can only add 5 cards to your hand per turn. You can only extract 5 cards from your deck. You can only activate 5 effects per turn. This would stop many players summoning their boss monster or using their combos to beat the opponent, making them weaker than they are right now. Decks like Dark Magician fused with the Red Eyes have problems, as well as Lightworms or Cyber decks. But let's not stop there. When Konami brings out a new booster pack, make the newest deck either a slight improvement or just as good as the older booster pack. This would ensure that the player would play with the older cards and doesn't become demotivated when he hears that his cards are now complete trash. And finally, ban a key card once a year to kill off a deck. This would help to limit the possibilities of using the main combo or making sure that the player need to make a new and also less destructive deck that can compete with everyone on the same level. As you can see, Yu-Gi-Oh! Can be safe, but only if the power creep is held at bay and the newest cards aren't extremely busted. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope that you enjoyed it so much that you would give me a like and subscribe to my channel. And in the end, I only want to say I believe in you. So start believing in yourself. Goodbye.